Hi, and welcome to the Penny Lane Podcast. We have a very special episode today for two reasons. First of all, Chetan is here, and he's like one of our most requested guests. So I know a ton of people have been waiting for this episode. And then I brought back Ellis Dillinger to co-host this episode with me. Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
What's up?
How are ya?
A boring day.
Yeah, it's pretty slow day. I mean, I was just kind of waiting for Apple earnings.
Huh.
That's going to go very poorly tomorrow. I already know. I took some lotto puts and like everyone's like, "Oh, dude, like the supply chain's priced in." I'm like, they're gonna smack it. That's what they always do. And you have the Fed next week too.
Dumb question. I thought lotto plays were plays that expired the same day. Is that not true? Is it ones that expire the same week?
Well, they expire tomorrow.
Right, but you took them today.
Yeah, I took
Apple
puts.
Still lottos?
Yeah, because it's such small size. Like I took like a handful just in case. I mean, they're gonna print pretty widely. The expected move was $1.50 plus or minus, or it was like maybe it was like $3, and then it moved like $5 after hours. So there's no ID crush. The lotto should be up a decent amount, and if not, it's a lotto. I don't really care. So
cool. So Chetan, we're both in MTA together, but I don't see you very much.
Yeah,
right?
I usually stick to just the futures room. The past 2 weeks, I've kind of just been taking it easy, and the action's just not been what I like. So I've just not been messaging. Like I've just been watching, but I haven't felt the need to hop in.
Okay, and how are things going in the futures room?
They're going a lot better. You know, originally it was just me and Emu, and like we'd get a couple, and Donnie, and then we'd have like one or two other people show up every now and then. Oh, and Minotaur. But now we've got like a bunch of other people now. It's been good, especially this last month. We got a lot of people start up accounts. They have like a whole futures account challenge now that we've set up, and
I'm scrolling through the floor right now. You got Broda in there.
Yeah.
And Maxie.
Broda really brought in a lot more people.
God, Broda is such a badass. You know, I asked him today if he would come back. What a great guy.
What platform do you guys use for futures mainly?
I use Tradeovate.
Yep.
I kind of tested out Sierra Chart for a little bit, never fully got around to changing over there. I think Rogue is trying to use AMP.
Yeah, AMP has pretty good pricing, but I don't like how they have that monthly charge.
Yeah.
Are you doing the Top Step program? Is that the futures challenge, or are you guys just doing it?
I've thought about it.
MTA?
I haven't. I might do it at some point. I've thought about it. It sounds fun, so I'll do it. I might do it. We'll see. We'll see when I do it. I might do it December, end of the year.
Some people say it's like a little sketchy because if like you break any of the rules, they take all your money, right? That's kind of
yeah.
Like the thing.
So the thing is, you just want to pass the funded program, and then you want to. If you like, you follow the rules and everything, it's not that hard. Like you just got to be consistent. Maybe the amount of time they give you isn't that great, but if you just like hit a couple good trades, eventually it'll be like not that hard to do. I don't think.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I used to trade futures on Thinkorswim. Dude, the margins on there are so bad.
Dude, Thinkorswim has the worst.
And the fees, dude, I paid like $6,000 in fees. I was like, this is unbelievable.
No.
And then I switched to Tradeovate. And then a lot of people like Ninja because you can do like the programming with the different.
Yeah.
That's way too complicated for my species, I'll say. I'm not that smart.
Ninja's good. I know some people use Jigsaw. Jigsaw and Sierra are the two big ones that a lot of futures people have recommended me. I'm more partial to Sierra because I don't know if you know Order Flow Labs, but I know like Leo, and I know a lot of people who use their stuff, and so I've just seen like what you can do with Sierra. I'm like, oh, that shit's really cool.
Now, do you trade mainly off of order flow? Is that like your system, we can say?
Sort of. I've been trying to learn it a lot better. I mostly just I usually like use volume profile. That's mostly what I've been using. Like I have I can draw support and resistance, like supply and demand, like whatever. But I don't do a whole lot of I do some TA, like I'll draw trend lines and stuff on occasion, but I don't do a whole lot of like I don't know candlestick patterns or anything. I just I look at the profile, I say, okay, this is like, this is how the action was this day and the previous day, and this is the overall, and then boom, that's kind of all I need to know, and then I just judge from how the action is the day of, and see what's going on.
That's pretty much futures. People are always like scared of it, but and especially on TraderBait, right? People don't know this about
Yeah.
futures is you don't need to have over 25K, right? There's no PDT rule in futures.
Yeah, no PDT rule futures, like especially with Tradeovate, your margins are low. Not to say like if you have a small account, you should just go immediately start trading full size contracts. But they have micros and stuff, and it lowers the barrier to entry, and it's good. Like $50 margin for a micro on ES is like amazing. Like if you want to do like a $500,000 account, and that's like perfect. You don't have to risk that. Like risking $50 is not putting up $50 margin is not that much. Not risking.
I agree too. I think the biggest thing to futures is since if you trade, like I traded MES when I first started, like minis, right? That's a ticker for people that don't know. It's only like a couple dollars, like if you lose and if you're wrong. So you can really, really learn quickly and not put up the capital requirements, say if you were to jump into trading options or trading penny stocks. You can start really small and actually learn a system, and then you can build up from there.
I have a couple questions. Question number one. What's a future?
I'll let Chetan go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so I don't want to go and give like the full specific definition, but basically,
let's pretend that I am like a 5-year-old child with a short attention span. Like specifically, what does it mean when people are like all on Twitter, like, fuck yeah, futures are green?
Okay,
I don't know what that means.
The futures,
but I'm like, must be good.
So there's a couple types of futures, right? There's going to be your indice futures. So like those will be representative of like the SP 500, NASDAQ, Dow, like whatever. There's also commodity futures. So grains, oil, corn, hog, cows.
Sure.
And then
cattle.
The usual,
yeah, and then there's like
the usual ones.
Right, and then there's bonds, interest rate futures, and so those are the main ones people. Those are like most of them. There's some other like power and whatever that are more obscure, but people mainly when they say like futures are green, they're looking at ES, NQ, YM, and RTY, which are SP 500, NASDAQ, Dow, and the Russell.
So what is it? What does it mean? What does it mean when the futures are green?
It's just the overnight session is green. So if you're watching, let's say SPY all day, it cuts off in the evening at around close, a little bit after hours, and it opens up in the morning. Futures trade essentially 24, like 5.5.
So like a crypto. Is it like a crypto?
Sure. It's not crypto, but in terms of the time frame that it trades, yeah, crypto. The thing that's nice about crypto is it trades on Saturday and like late Friday, so there's no stopping point on crypto. Futures do stop. They close on Friday and they open back up Sunday at like 6, 7, depending on your time zone. But they're basically just they're like a leveraged product. They're similar to an option. If you can exercise a futures contract and receive delivery. So if you exercised a oil contract, let's say, you would need to take delivery of barrels of oil.
Okay.
So a bunch of cows can show up to your house if you're wrong.
Yeah, there's also some like technical aspects to it. Like I think if you don't actually have the facilities to take delivery, I don't think your broker will let you exercise it. But that's part of what created the whole. I don't know if you remember the negative oil thing back in April. I think it was April 2020, where it was like the expiring contract went negative. The currently traded oil contract didn't go negative. It went really low. It went to like $7 a barrel. But the expiring contract went negative because no one wanted to take delivery on oil at that point because it was guaranteed to be a loss at any price. So it went negative, meaning that they were paying people to take delivery of that oil at that time, which was a bargain, I guess. It was just like no one wanted to take it. Everything was locked up. It was hard to do. So
Any question I ask here is going to be kind of dumb. So I don't even know what to ask.
I can explain it.
Usually.
Okay.
I've never had that happen to me before.
Futures are not as complicated as you think, right? So think of the SPY, right? You have SPY, QQQ, DOW for Dow, or DJI, right? Futures are almost like, I would explain like the front runners, right? So futures, SPY tracks the futures, and QQQ tracks NQ, which is the NASDAQ futures. So basically, majority of the big boys, right? Hedge funds, like all the big boys trade futures. They're not out there slapping SPY calls because you can lever up to protect your long positions. You can do all sorts of crazy things. Interesting story is cattle futures. I think it was Tyson. The Tyson CEO was insider trading by giving people information about cattle, right? Because he owns the whole meat products and everything like that. So people were buying his information, and people were turning $1,000 into $100K overnight. There's a whole wide world.
So why would one choose to trade these? Like, what's the advantage? Is it the extended market hours? Is it less volatility? Like, what's the benefit?
So I would say the two big ones are, like you mentioned, the extended time. Like, it's, especially when I was in school, so much more convenient to not have to pay attention or not like have to be laser focused on the screen all day when I'm going to class and stuff. But at the end of the day or like towards the night, I can open up Trade Advantage stuff and trade late at night versus trying to trade during school hours, which is horrible. But then the other one is volatility is going to be the same in terms of realized, like when you're trading SPY and you see, or SPY or SPX, and when they make a move, ES is going to make that same move. But versus trading options come with, the four Greeks, theta, delta, gamma, vega. And with futures, you don't have that. Like, you don't have those Greeks. So you're not going to have any time decay. You're not going to have any like problems with your Greek. So if with an option, if your underlying moves $1 and comes back $1, the option price may not be the same throughout that move from where it started. But with the future, you make the same amount or lose the same amount per point. Like, it's never gonna there's no decay factor. I think that's the biggest advantage.
Okay, and then do you primarily trade futures? Is that like, I know you do everything and like you're such an expert in all aspects of the market. So is this your like main area of expertise?
I don't want to say I'm like an expert or anything, but I
said it, so you don't have to,
I want to like have a friend come up and be like, "Oh, you fucking jackass." I'm like, no, listen. No. I did for a while trade primarily futures. I don't do it as much now. But I did for a while when I was in school. That was pretty much all I focused on. Because I didn't have time to really look around at everything that was happening throughout the day. So it was easy for me to just, look at S&P futures, NASDAQ futures, and be like, okay, this is all I need to know. I know where this is. Like, don't have to do any like further research and stuff. I can just focus on that and boom. But now I have a lot more time. I'm not as primarily focused on it.
So what are you primarally focused on?
Right now I do mainly large caps. I'm mostly doing options.
Okay. Thank God we're back into a zone where I feel like
I love futures. I traded them for like 6 months. They're really convenient because, like, especially if you have like a daytime job, right? You can wake up early in the morning and you can trade. And with the way points work, like you can make a couple $100 in a couple minutes. It's very fluid.
Really nice.
Yeah, so if you see a bull flag, you hop on, grab a couple contracts at ES, it rips, cash out, and then you can go on your day. It's very convenient. And the only thing I will say that from my experience with futures is you have to know the markets really well, right? There's time cycles when like Europe closes, when Europe opens. We have the Japan trade, which is like my bread and butter for the longest time. There's a lot more big macro components to it. It's not just patterns.
Yeah, you got to know those closes. You got to know when like a Fed meeting's happening. You got to know if there's data coming out. You don't need to know. You don't necessarily need to know what the data is going to be, or like what you don't need to like interpret the data yourself. The market will tell you what the data, how bad the data is, or how good the data is. You just need to know when those events are, so you can just avoid that volatility for the most part.
Yeah, you don't want to get clapped because oil numbers come out and you're in oil futures. Be like, no, my bad. Well, we
That's
get a large
worst,
caps.
like getting caught in one of those things and your stop gets taken like 2 points lower.
Yep.
And it's putting, you're like, okay, I can't do anything about that, but stupid.
So back to the large caps.
You got me all excited for futures. Now we're gonna large caps. That's fine. We could do it. There isn't much range right now, low volume, so that's probably why you're not trading futures, right? Because the range is like nothing. We just gap up, trickle up, and that's it.
Yeah, and I missed out on a good chunk of the rally. I was just like trying to buy the dip way too early, and I just kind of got fed up, and I just like psyched myself out, and then I missed out on it, and I was like, okay, well now I really want to short this, but it's not time yet, and so I'm not gonna like, even if I try to short this, I'm not gonna put anything beyond like a scratch position, like something I don't care about, where I could just stop out and be like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to size in anything. That's why I've been like not super active either in the futures room right now. Cause I told the mid call, I was like, honestly, like I'm just going to wait till earnings season. Like at least the big tech earnings are out, like Apple, Amazon are out. And then I'll try to like get back into it. Cause while those things go on, volatility's not like, you'll get good moves, but it's not anything I really wanted to trade right now. So
now question for you is, how disciplined are you?
Sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's really bad. That's how it comes down to. I mean,
most future guys I know are like extremely, extremely disciplined. Like they don't move. They have no emotions. They're almost serial killers. Almost.
Yeah, I've learned that. I think with futures, you have to be so much more disciplined. It's like futures, then options, and then stock. With commons like stocks, you don't have to. Obviously, you need to be disciplined to be like a good trader, but you don't need to be as disciplined as with options or as disciplined with futures. And I think above that, currency, but that's a whole nother thing I don't want to get into. But yeah, I with futures I'm a lot more disciplined. But when I'm not like trading well, or I'm not trading as super disciplined, I'm like finding myself just constantly in a cycle or something, I just don't touch futures because I know that's like a one-way ticket to like
one-way ticket to Doomstown. That happened to me one day. I was up and I just started scalping, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. It's easy, right? Because you can buy as many contracts as you want over and over and over again. But that's good that you have that discipline, and we can get a large caps so we can help her.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
All right, what have you been playing large caps?
No.
What are you looking at?
Yeah. Do you want to go into large caps, or would you like to just tell us your story? I love a story. I'm a big story person.
Tell us a story.
A story?
No, your story. Your story about how you started trading.
Where you were born, social security number, mom's maiden name, cousin's last name.
So I don't know, I think my family was relatively had a good understanding of investing. Like none of them traded or anything, but they had a good understanding of investing. And so I had at least some knowledge growing up of, what a stock was. And, like if you wanted just like if I want to invest, I buy shares of this company or something, but I didn't have any knowledge of like day trading or anything. And I did have some relative that worked in the financial industry. So there's that little like that was kind of how I grew up. But then I didn't really think about trading until I think like my senior year of high school. So 2016, I'd say. I got like a Robinhood account. And my dad was like, here, invest. Like, here's some money. Like, here's like $500. Invest some stuff. Don't touch it. I said, okay.
Oh my
And
gosh. I want to do that for my kids. What a
Well,
good
what
dad.
stocks did you buy?
so what was funny was I didn't really know what to get. And, the obvious choices that you were like, oh, I should buy Apple. I should buy that. And I realized Apple's like expensive. I was like, okay, well, I don't want to buy Apple. Apple's like, I don't want to get 2 shares. I want to get a lot of shares of something. So
Classic,
I went and I
right?
Googled,
Sure.
I'm not even joking. I was like Googling cheap stocks to buy under $5, 2016. And I'll sit there in class and go through them like every month. Okay. Then finally I bought Square. I bought Square at 12
Ooh.
and 20. And then I bought Micron at 18. I remember. So those are that was what my entire Robinhood account consisted of. It was those two. Oh, and then there was like a little bit in some it was some $8 stock called MyMedics, and that one I kept trying to like trade for some reason. I kept trying to like buy and sell it. I was like, it's not going up. I gotta sell it and buy it lower. And then I just gave up on it. I was like, I don't have any idea what I'm doing. And I sold it at like a loss, and I put that money into Micron, I think. And apparently it like delisted and went bankrupt or something. I was like, Jesus, like I dodged a bullet.
If you're on the phone with customer support, hey, how do I get my money back?
Yeah, can I get a reset? Can I get a refund of this? No.
Can I at least get Robinhood Gold? Come on.
Yeah, so I would, I was still like investing at that point. I wasn't like actively trading. Like I bought Square, I bought Micron. I was like, these will be big. Like I bought them because my brother is like a big tech guy, builds a bunch of computers, and he was like, Micron's really good at this time. I was like, okay, cool. You got Micron? I'll buy Micron. And then I was like Square, because I saw that was like I felt like 2016, at least where I was growing up, was really when I started seeing all like the Apple Pay and the Square like payment stuff show up. I was like, okay, this company I feel like is undervalued. I'll buy it. Boom. And after that, I didn't really look again till maybe because 2016 to January 2018 was like easy market. Like it just went up. So I didn't look. I never looked after. I was like, oh, I'm up. Okay. Close my phone. I'd check every once in a while. I'd be like, oh, I'm up. Put it away. And then 2018, I was playing Fortnite with some friends, and we're on college. And so one of my friends had one of his friends come by, and the guy was talking about how he made a bunch of money trading options. And so I was like, what are options? And he was like, oh, I made like, he was like, oh, yeah. He was like, oh, I got, my dad gave me $10,000 and I made $5,000. I was like, oh, well, that's crazy. That sounds cool. And he was like, and then I lost $5,000. I said, Jesus. Okay. I said, well, that sounds even more fun.
Everyone's first options trade's a ripper, dude. My first options trade is like 1,000%. I was like, this is easy.
Oh yeah. No. So then I went and I went on YouTube and I looked up options. I looked up how they worked. And like, I did a bunch of like, I didn't really fully understand, but I went and looked at what's a call, what's a put, how do you buy then sell them on Robinhood, that sort of thing. Robinhood is super easy to get approval for options, which is a terrible thing. Like everywhere else, it's like you got to get like sign all this stuff, and Robinhood's like, do you think you're experienced? No, approved anyway. Like, okay,
is your count over 50 G's? Nope. All right, you're in.
You're good. It's like, oh Jesus Christ. So they approved me. I think my first options trade, I bought puts on CenturyLink, like October 2018, and it was 100% overnight. And I was like, oh my God, I made $80. I'm crazy. I'm good at this shit. And then, that's how I got sucked in.
That was a repo crisis, right? That fall, I believe.
No, that was 2019.
2019?
2018 was, you had Volmageddon in the first beginning of the year. And then you had, throughout the year, Powell was suggesting they were going to hike rates.
Ah, okay.
And then they were also taking stuff off the balance sheet. And so the market in general was kind of just volatile.
Yeah, it's about to happen next week. Might have repeat part 2.
Yeah. Yeah, they may suggest, like, who knows, right? Like they say we're working on tapering, and then they inject a bunch of money into the like treasury purchases. Like, you know, watch what they do, not what they say, kind of thing.
Exactly.
We'll see what they say, but it's definitely not something I want to go into, like, you know,
No, that's a good time to.
unaware of what's going on. But yeah, and then like I just tried to find. I don't even know. I like stumbled across someone's YouTube stream one time. It was this guy called Us Versus Herd, and then that's how I started like finding other discords. That's how I got into like Discord, like stock discords and stuff. That's how I ended up all the way to like MTA and FinTwit, like meeting all these people. And now I'm here, Penny Lane Podcast.
Cool. Well, we're so glad to have you. So you're doing large caps and options still, yes? Yeah. And that's your main day in and day out. That's what you're trading.
Yeah.
I am just starting to learn how to do options. If you listen to the podcast regularly, you know it's like a slow and very painful process for me. But anyway, I'm getting very interesting. I'm learning more every week.
It's fun, right? It's kind of like when you go to the casino and you hit really big all the time. And sometimes you walk out and you just have a really bad day.
I bought a Lucid call today.
There you go.
Nice.
And yeah, well, no, I bought 3 contracts, calls. I don't know, bought 3 of them. And then I put my phone down, or no, my kid's teacher called, and I took the call and talked to her for about 45 minutes, and then looked at my trade and it was up like $1,200 or something. And I was like, oh, I didn't know this was gonna happen. It was, so that's fun. Making money's fun.
Sounds like a good day if you ask me. I had lucid calls yesterday, but sold for a loss. So today they would have been worth about $1,000 a piece, and I sold for like a 20% loss.
Yeah, I can't even I had back in like late August, I was buying up November Tesla 1,000 calls, and I just like paper handed my way out of those. And then I had Lucid calls a week and a half ago, 2 weeks back, and I just I like took those off on like the first green I saw. I was like, oh, I made like 10%. I'm happy now. Like whatever. Then I watched this. And I'm like, ah.
So, how do you decide if you're looking at a chart that you like and you want to trade this chart, this stock? How do you decide if you trade commons or options?
Oh, okay. I think for stuff under like $5-10, mostly when it's under 5, I just stick with the commons, especially if I'm not. It depends on like the market environment too, right? But under 10 and really under 5, I stick with commons. But if it's over that, I'll go with the options. Also, if I'm not expecting a huge move or anything, I just see like a nice setup I want to take quickly, I'll just go with the shares. If I think it's going to make a big move, like we're in a market environment like right now where everything's getting run up, like, yeah, I will play the options over the shares probably all the time.
Cool. And how do you feel like the market is? Like, it seems to me, and I don't know much about much, but it seems like there's been a nice shift in the past 2.5 weeks. Would you say that's right?
Yeah, we had a lot of the market was pretty shit, I would say, this last quarter.
Sure.
Like the indices were moving up, but a lot of stocks were coming down and we didn't have a lot of movement. You'd have like I know especially small cap land was like once every week you would have a good day, and it was just like maybe a 50-70% runner, and everyone was like, this is like really annoying. But I think what helped is the indices kind of corrected themselves. We rallied up. Now there was a lot more buying in names, and then we had DWAC go crazy, and it just ignited.
Good old DWAC.
Yeah,
DWAC
warrants. The perfect setup, and it just ignited everything again, which is great. But it's also, I think also what helped is it happened towards month end, which is really nice too. So
sure. And also I feel like every trader I know was just waiting since the third week in September for like any kind of action, right? So I feel like we get DWAC and we're all like, it's back. Like, who knows if the market like came back or just like every single person was looking for some kind of like bat signal. And now we're back.
Yeah, we had
knows?
DWAC and then what was it, Fun?
Oh,
Yes.
fun.
And what was confirmation was all those, they held the next day. They didn't like immediately crash or anything. And that was like, okay, we're good to go.
Well, it's also the
Market's
whole market seasonality, right? So people seem to forget that end of September, we always sell off, look back a spy of 10 years. It's very, very seasonal, right? And it's because all the politicians, all the government people come back from their August vacation and they start talking and the market doesn't like that. And then we get into oversold territory and then we just rip, right? So normally middle of October towards the end is when everything starts to heat back up again. And then large caps normally kind of teeter towards December for tax harvesting. So if you write down these cycles, you can really kind of put yourself in a good position. Like I was buying the dip all September. I don't know about you guys.
Question. Are you telling me this calendar from memory, or is this Mitch Pick's calendar that you're just reciting?
No, this is how the market has worked for the past like decade probably. It's very, very similar.
Okay. I was just joking. I love his calendar.
That's
I
for small
have
caps.
it pinned on my.
That's small caps.
Oh well, what? Like I don't. That's all I care about. So I'm like, it's a calendar for the whole market.
September. Yeah, September, especially the past 2-3 years, has been pretty weak in general. That right after summer's pretty slow, and then right after summer is not really great. And this year has followed like the seasonality chart like amazingly well. Like a friend pointed out to me and I was like, Jesus, like it's perfect. Like just for some reason this year it's been like exactly to seasonality. So
now question for you, Chetan. How did you get so well read in markets? I can just tell by the way you conduct yourself when it comes to market kind of knowledge. Like how did you learn about it? Are you just like a Google person where you learned yourself, or just you got interested, you got that, we'll call it the large cap bug, right? Because I have it as well. So how did you really get into it? How did you like start really, really falling in love and understanding these things, right? I mean, you talked about the V word. What was it? The Voldemort crisis? I don't want to call it the Voldemort.
Oh, Volmageddon.
Volmageddon,
Yeah.
right? So you're very well read in past market history and everything like that. So how did you learn that kind of stuff?
I think I got pretty lucky in terms of like where I bounced around in Discords. Like I ended up just meeting people who were actually like, there's a lot of people who we think know a lot, but then there's a lot. Then you learn how much we actually don't know. And so I met a lot of people who helped me learn how much I didn't know. And that was like a great way to start. Like that was like, if you know how much, like, exactly what you don't know, easiest way to start looking for stuff. But I just like kept running into people like on Twitter, Discord, who knew a lot. And then as soon as like we ran into like where we were like, okay, I don't know at this point. I just kept finding new people. And so that's kind of how I started learning, was just like I'd find new people and they would say something and be like, oh, I don't know what that is. And I'd look into it, or I'd ask them about it and they'd explain. Or like Twitter. I went on like Twitter and I found squeeze metrics just because I was like in some terribly positioned like SPX options trade. So, you're sitting there looking for anything to justify your position. You're going through Twitter stuff. And I was on Twitter and I looked and I found him and I was like going through Gamma and everything. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then I learned a lot of that. And then FinTwit has obviously there's a lot of drama on FinTwit and whatever. And I mostly like unfollowed all of that at this point.
But you're a large cap guy. Notice how large cap guys never beef, right? Or large cap girls. And there's no beef between us ever.
So I unfollowed a lot of like small cap people. So because I figured at a certain point, I don't really need to be following them, because someone will post their tweet in Discord. Someone will post what's moving. Like I don't need to see someone telling me such and such is going to 50. I know it's not going to 50.
Yep.
FinTwit has really gotten better, especially in the past 2 years. A lot of people who work in institutions, a lot of people who have this who are quants and stuff, who have this insane amount of knowledge, just post on Twitter, and they post good threads that are like just so informational on market structure or on macro or like market events. And I will save them or I'll read them. Sometimes I have them saved. I don't read them, but I at least, just sitting and looking at that every day has really helped me, I think. Just
It's
learn. And
funny
I
you
don't
mention
feel
that.
like I know a whole lot, but I if I don't know something, I now have a way. I figured out how to find what I don't know. I think is the best way of phrasing
I
it.
think people underestimate the amount of like financial institution people that are actually on the FinTwit space. The reason I got into the whole futures market is because I joined a Discord where it was all ex like hedge fund guys, and just to see the way they would talk and conduct themselves, I learned so much. I was almost like a sponge, right? And you kind of remind me how I was, right? Like we're just kind of a sponge soaking up all the information we can for free. And I think that's the power that Twitter and Discord really has, because when you find someone that actually knows what they're talking about, you bring them as close to you as possible, and you really learn a lot of cool stuff. Now, you brought up gamma. Do you look at the gamma levels, like on SPX and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I do have a subscription to how volatility.
Okay.
And I check, and I'll check. This past 2 weeks I hadn't looked at it just because it was so slow.
Yeah, there's something cool happening.
Like I didn't everything I needed to know was on the chart. But yesterday and today, I had started looking at it again. But I don't think the levels are as important. Like they will just end up like you can get the same levels from fibs, or you can get the same levels from pivots. Like the levels aren't as important. What's more important from what I've found, and from one of my friends was like really good at seeing this, is like how the distribution of the gamma changes. That's really what's important. Just understanding that, or how much gamma exposure there is. That's really what's important. The exact levels and stuff is like whatever. Because everyone's just going to front run. Like everyone knows about gamma, so there's no point in knowing the exact levels. I mean, that's the problem with like even in small caps and stuff. Like if everyone's focused on the same level, everyone's like, oh, if someone tweets out, I'm going to stop out at this level, and then all everyone's followers go, I'm also going to stop out at this level. And what's going to happen is some algo is going to sit there and be like, oh, look at all this liquidity there. I'm going to get out with this liquidity. Boom. You're like, oh my God, they're hunting our stops. It's like, yeah, because you're putting everything there. Someone needs liquidity to get out. You are the liquidity to get out.
Dude, people don't realize that when they put like stop losses, even on small caps, is like the algorithm sees it, right? Like,
yeah, you can see that show up on
I can see it on my Webull level too, man. Like, you think algorithm, some guy from Wall Street's not going to be able to see it? Come on.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for when, I won't name names, but there were a couple FinTwit Furus and big names who were for a while they're doing where they would throw up like 500k shares on the bid and shove a stock up. I was just hoping one of those days someone with size would come in and just shove the stock into their bids and fill them with all that and just drop it and see like how they would react on Twitter, because it would have been hilarious. Like, I don't want to be, in no way am I saying like I hope you lose, like I hope people lose, but it would have been funny to see these people who were like, they're in some ways they're really doing pump and dump stuff where you're shoving the bid up and then you're tweeting like, that my target is like over this level, this like the market gets good. It's like, no, over that level is where you're exiting.
Exactly.
And you need these people to push it up so you can exit.
Now, Blaine, have you ever heard the term bid propping?
Yeah, I hear it all the time. I have no idea what
Well, we just explained it. That's what bid propping is, right? It's when you... There you go. Because people always ask, like, what is bid propping? And, like, I'll see, especially in after hours, right? So it basically creates fake demand. Would you explain? How would you say that, Chetan? Fake demand, right? Because you see a huge bid.
It creates, like, a false sense of activity. On the stock,
people love to do it after hours. Like, especially, like, right before after hours closes off, they'll throw up a huge bid to send the algos crazy. So in the morning, it gaps up. It's very, very common.
Because the biggest, like, it's sort of a misconception, but people will look and they'll see on the time and sales, they'll see a big print, or they'll see on the level 2, they'll see a big random, print. And like, you're just instantly like, oh, I noticed that. That's got to be something. But, which you don't really want to see that. That's not really indicative of a big move or anything. Like if a stock's going to move big or the activity's good, you want to see a lot of stacking. You want to see a lot of good. You want to see like the tape accelerating. You don't want to see it all like clumped at once. Like if you see
And
it all
now-
clumped at once, that's probably just someone trying to get out. Or someone trying
Exactly.
to push
But it's
it.
also not illegal, right? Because even the big boys do it all the time.
Yeah, it's not really.
It's frowned upon. I know it's quote unquote. I'm pretty sure it's illegal. But
it'll get you banned from your broker.
yeah,
It's probably not something that, even if it is illegal, it's not really something that the SEC is gonna come down upon you on if you're doing it, because they figure at a certain point it's just gonna like catch up to you. That's if you're doing it at some point, it's gonna catch you or you stop.
Yes.
So
some short's gonna come in and just absolutely crush you.
And someone like other, that recent OTC scammer got caught with his false knowledge. But for the most part, people making like a couple million pumping and dumping is not really of the SEC's concern.
No.
Like a couple million is like, wow, that's great. But like for the SEC, that's not really relevant.
That's literally like nothing. People always say that. Like, my God, SEC is worried about guys who are clearing multiple millions, like, and big funds that are purposely manipulating stuff. I don't think they really care about.
Yeah, like a
penny
problem
stocks.
for the SEC is like Bill Wong.
Yeah,
like,
the guy who
all
over
this-
leveraged, like, how much was he? Like 50x over leverage in a family office, and then he just like he lost all of it. Went, I'm okay. I'm like, dude, how are you okay right now?
Dude, that guy is insane. That guy was like, Jesus told me to buy these stocks. It's like,
Yep.
dude, you just blew up $5 billion.
Blaine, do you know who Bill Wong is?
No, but I do know about that OCT pumper that you guys were just talking
Yeah,
about.
I forget his name, but OTC.
You know, I was in his room.
Oh, you're on the list. You're on the list.
Oh, were you?
Were you actually in his room?
Am
You're on the
I?
list,
No.
dude.
I was in.
Yeah, do you hear the knocking at the
Yeah.
door, dude? That's the feds.
I got so.
I'm just kidding. Imagine.
I got so desperate before Brad started his room, and like I'd heard good things, and it was, you could pay by the week, and it was maybe like $20 a week. So like, I'll do this, and got in there, and I've just never felt so much anxiety. It was wild to just be in there, and literally like 5 days later Brad opened MTA, and I was like, oh thank God.
My Lord and
I
Savior.
don't have to be in there.
OTC is that. I mean, it's a great thing that they cleaned it up this year. I mean,
Yeah.
there was so much
garbage
absurdity in terms of what like people were people were there. I've seen so many of like I turned $1,000 into $1 million in like a couple months. I'm like on the OTC boards, and you're just looking at these names that were going from 4 decimal places to $1, and you're like, oh, this is like not.
Well, just like
This is not
Shiba.
okay. Yeah.
I compare SHIB to the OTC world, right? Every zero you knock off, everyone gets more and more excited, right? It's going to $1.
Right.
If it goes to $1, my $60 investment turns into $1 million, right? That's what everyone thinks in OTC.
Wait, are you guys not in SHIB?
I actually own a bunch of it. I re-downloaded my Trust Wallet app today, and I went, oh, wow. But the gas fees on Ethereum network right now are ridiculous, so I'm just going to hold it. I mean, it's money that I forgot I had, so might as well just leave it there.
Oh, I thought everyone was in SHIB. I thought that's where all the cool kids were doing.
Everyone. It's been the new thing. Everyone. It's like Doge
the
again.
New Doge.
Yeah.
And I was deep in Doge.
Oh, dude.
So into
Doge left a really bad mark on me.
Did you hold through SNL? You can't hold through
Nah.
SNL. That's to sell the news.
Robinhood filled me on my order like 2 days later for $10,000 worth of Doge at the absolute top, and I never got a notification. I got nothing.
Ooh.
And it filled me at 2 days ago's prices, and I was immediately down a couple thousand. And like I called and argued with them. I got Robinhood Gold from it. Yeah. Now I literally deleted it off my phone. So I used to do a lot of crypto, but not so much anymore. But the altcoins are fun. Like I bought a bunch of, I think it was called SEC coin, which was Sue Elon Musk coin. That was a fun one.
Ooh.
Yeah, I lost a couple $100 on that one. F Elon coin was another one.
Now, Chetan, have you ever done any crypto mining, Bitcoin mining?
I didn't set it up, but my brother was big into Bitcoin mining and like when he was in middle school, and
Cool.
Middle school,
Super
what?
cool.
so he was gone, and this was 2015, 2014, and he like went somewhere. He would like sometimes he wouldn't be home, like he would go spend the night at some friend's house or something, but he would be like, I need you to like check on my computer. I need you to make sure like dad hasn't come and turned it off or something, and like done something.
So your parents are just like paying the electricity for him to just mine stuff. I don't really understand.
Yeah,
mining
so that,
cryptos.
you know,
This is
they were like not. My mom didn't care. Like she didn't know what was really. She didn't really care. She was like, oh, he seems to be like doing something. He's focused on something. Like
he's happy.
my dad was like, he's using the electricity, and like would go up there and shut it off late at night.
That's a classic dad move.
My
It's like your lights on, dude. It's cost me $1. But like I literally did the math. Like it's 9 cents over a year.
Like, so is this? And he was like, so is this? What is this doing? And I was like, well, I think it evens out basically. I mean, I don't know, but I think it'll even out. And he was like, I don't understand. And then, and then my brother bought a pair of Yeezys like a year later.
Screw you, Dad. I'm dripping now.
So that was pretty funny.
My best friend in the whole world, like we've been best friends since we were little kids. I'm told, so her mom was a trader. My dad was a stockbroker, and her mom like took the orders and did the actual trading for the firm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they knew each other and then introduced us. She's been my best friend my whole life. I was like, I'm never going to get into stocks. I don't understand it. COVID hit. I call her up. I'm like, Lindley, I'm going to start trading. And she was like, oh, this is new. Like, I wasn't expecting this. And she was like, sure. Like, I think that sounds fine. So, I mean, she's the most supportive person. And I've gotten so deep into this. I'm like, Lindley, I'm starting a podcast. She's like, I'm not going to listen, but like, I support you. So I've got this whole life that she knows. She has no idea like how deep I am into this. And she came over to watch the Georgia game the other weekend. And she's like, so I bought a computer to mine crypto. And I was like, this is the top. This is like, as bad as it gets. Here's my friend who like knows nothing about nothing. And she's mining crypto now. Like, the world has changed.
Well, China, like they put a ban on mining crypto. So a lot of the, like, that's why the prices have been going up, because China used to mine all of it. Now it's starting to come to the United States because of, I guess we'll call them retail miners, right? They're trying to make like a name for themselves. There's another one called Helium, I think it's called, where like it plugs. There's all sorts of different types of mining equipment. So it's not just Bitcoin, Ethereum, and like Dog and stuff. There's so many different ways you can get into it.
What made building a computer suck now is like you have that and the chip shortage, and it just makes like every part is way too expensive now.
Now, do you think Bitcoin caused the chip shortage? Put your tinfoil hat on. What do you think?
No.
No?
Well, I don't think it's the only reason. I mean, sure, it's probably part of the problem, but I definitely think the supply chain just like wasn't able. It's just the lag of like closing the supply chain, and then everything reopens, and then they're not ready to catch up to the demand, and then now they're just backlogged. Like and then everything gets backlogged when the whole system gets backlogged, and then that's where you have a crisis. So
yeah, and the semiconductors, people don't realize how long it actually takes to make one, right? It's not like you can just print one out. You see AMD's earnings yesterday? Did you read the report by any chance? They like doubled and tripled everything. It's ridiculous. All from chips.
No, I haven't even. I need to go read it.
I just like to flex that I bought it during a dip, so that was my shameless plug right there.
Nice.
You gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Yeah.
So, Chetan, we only have a little bit of time left, and I would be remiss if I didn't hit you with some of these MTA questions.
For sure.
Have you already read over them?
I glanced at them when you.
All right, I'm just going to read through the list. From Garth Gaines, in parentheses, it says janitor. Why did he leave the goggle gang? I'm also interested in this question.
Oh, I mean, everyone was part of the goggle gang. I was like, I'll just change my photo to like kind of have the goggle. Like I still had sunglasses on. I was like, I changed my profile picture like every month. I was like, I don't want to get stuck with the same one. And I just found one I thought was cool, and I was like, I can't put the goggles on these. I can't turn it the right way. But I tried to find one that still had sunglasses on.
Well, I'm looking through the profile pictures. Garth still has on his goggles.
Yeah, Garth has them. Bianca has them.
Bianca has them. I just saw another one. Impressive Emu's wearing the goggles. Yeah, so you haven't like left the gang in that like you don't want to be friends with us anymore. It's just you've changed.
I took off the goggles, I guess. Like, I don't know.
Had to remove the gogs. All right, next up from Broda. Broda. What was the greatest piece of knowledge / advice that you got that made him the great trader he is
now? What was it? Okay. This was like this had to be like 2 years ago, and I had given up. I just like had paper handed some play, and I was like complaining about it. And one of my friends just like pinged me and was like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, you had no plan. You weren't ready. Like, you didn't strategize properly. Like, plan your shit out. Stop pussing. Like, stop bitching about it, and like get your shit together. I was like, bet. And like that was the best piece of advice, because I was just like, dude, stop complaining. Like, just get your shit together and you'll be fine.
Oh my gosh. I just did an episode that actually just released today, and it was just me and Justin, and I was talking about just this. I've been on like a journey the last 2 months. I've stopped fucking around, and I'm like taking it very seriously now. And AC, Texas Hammer from MTA, taught me how to trade, and it took like 2 months of me being like, can you teach me how to trade on the computer? And he kept being like, yeah, when you're ready to stop fucking around on your phone and like be fucking serious, then I will take the time to teach you how to trade. And then the whole time we were trading, he was like, teach me how to use the ladder and stuff. And I was kind of like whiny about the whole thing. Like, but I don't like really understand. And he was like, either fucking do it or don't do it. And it was actually very nice to have someone be like, you stop bitching. And I was. So anyway, I appreciate some like tough love, especially in this, because, the market is so harsh and so humbling. And I find myself, people reach out to me all the time with like, oh, I took a huge loss. Like, you guys know, I took a huge loss yesterday. And people are in general like very kind, like, oh, you'll make it back, or, whatever. And I think that it really does take someone caring about you to be like, well, you took a loss because you didn't have a plan, or, so, like being real honest about that. So like the story.
Sometimes you see someone to slap you in the face. That's how I learned. That's the only way I made it. Until someone said, hey, stop being stupid. And I was like, wait a minute. So I shouldn't eat my whole entire account into earnings plays? You have to be serious. And I can hear from Chetan's voice. He's very serious. He's very well read. And I think that's what separates him from being just a trader to being a great trader, right? It's that almost like that drive. I'm sure you had moments. Do you ever blow up an account? That's another question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
This is a tough topic.
I got no shame. I've done it. It's happened.
But see, you admit it, right? People are like,
people don't want to admit they take losses. It's so fucking stupid. Like, dude, you're like, if you listen, if anyone is like telling you they have a 100% win rate at 90%, like anything above like 50, it's just, and they're making like millions of dollars. It's like, that's bullshit. It's like 100% bullshit, because no one seriously makes, unless they're taking like 2-3 trades a year or something. Like, unless they're doing that, they're just bullshitting everyone. Because taking losses is part of the game. Like, taking a loss doesn't make you a loser in trading.
No.
You being able to cut a losing trade quickly and like recognizing it, that's part of like the game. Like, not being able to admit that you take a loss is just so stupid. I hate it.
I think that makes you a great trader. If you take a loss knowing it's not going to work out, rather than just holding it, being like, oh, hoping it'll go up, that's a difference. I take losses every day, that's just part of the game. It's
completely okay to take a loss. It's just not okay to be in denial.
Yep.
That's the only thing. Like, if you're just sitting like, this is not a bad trade. It's a great trade. It's probably a bad trade.
Excellent way to put it. Absolutely excellent way to put it. I think someone's going to hear this and they're going to be like, holy shit, that's me. They're like, yeah. Well, I've been there.
Yeah. Listen, I've been there before. I've been like, I've been scour. Like, if you have to work way too hard to justify a trade, just cut it.
Yep.
Just cut it. Like, it shouldn't be absurdly hard to
if you're arguing about AMC's float percentage, just cut the bag, dude. Just cut it.
Look, trade,
it's not going 100.
It is okay to take losses. That's the summary. Like, a blown account, it's okay to take losses. You learn from it, you move on. Just like, learn how to manage risk. That's the key.
I've also talked so much about Real Simple Ariel helping me so much. Like literally, like I was a child, walked me through like, this is what you want to see in a chart or whatever. And I took that IINN trade on what's today? Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. Took that trade in the threes. Like, it was a really good entry. And I messaged him and I was like, hey, I found this stock, IINN, and I got in. Like, what do you think? And he was like, oh, that's a great play. And then it was like a really good play. And then he messaged me after and he was like, why'd you take that trade? And I was like, oh, the chart was like screaming at me to take it. And he was like, yeah, only take trades like that.
There
like,
you go.
Stop trying to like force shit that's not there, and then like prove to me that you've seen something. Like, wait until the chart is screaming at you, take the trade, and then we'll move on. And I was like, oh, that's all you have to do.
See, now the mentee is starting to give place to the mentor.
It was a pretty high day for me. I was nice. All right. Bianca wants to know, Chetan, are you a wizard when you wear your clout goggles?
No. There's no way.
No.
Like, I don't
okay.
Not a wizard.
Do you have a wand or like any kind of sorcery tools that we should know about?
Yeah, I can dream the S&P 500 next day price. That's what I do. I'm actually a psychic.
Ooh. What's the price tomorrow?
And it's
it'll be somewhere between 40 SP spiral trade between 420 and 500 tomorrow.
Yo, the top on SPY is 500, right? It's in the name. It stops going up after that point.
All right. Bianca was kidding and says she wants to know the basic resources you use to identify or predict rotation of money flowing to and from value stocks versus growth stocks. God, what a good question. Bianca's so smart.
Ooh, okay. So yeah, I have a very basic understanding of that. I think there are a couple of things you want to track. You're going to want to track bonds, like 10-year, 30-year. It's really helpful if you have something like Thinkorswim where you can pull up, like have like 16 charts up, and you can just watch. Either you can watch the tape over multiple days of like all the FANG names, all these value name, like all the different sectors at once, or the charts of all these different sectors at once. There's no like one easy way to do it. There's like a bunch of different ways. Like there's even charts there's like Bloomberg has a chart that will tell you what sectors are lagging, leading, and strengthening, that sort of thing. But you just want to track bonds. You want to track these stocks on like a big chart. Just notice. I don't know. I can't really be like, read this and you'll know. But those are the two big things I'd say is like watch how the 10-year and the 30-year react to the different indices and how the flow changes in the overall market. Just watch the tape and do it, like take notes on it. It's not going to be a one-day thing. Like you have to take pictures of the tape, take notes on the tape, just notice stuff and write it down. And eventually you'll like look and be like, oh, okay, this is what's happening, or this is how people are positioning, that sort of thing.
All right. Berkey, our cute Berkey, wants to know if you could survive for a month in the wilderness of Africa. Oh, Alaska. Mystery. I'm also interested in this because I think you could.
You have a lot of questions.
I did it once before. It wasn't by myself, but I did do it once before.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I went on. My parents were like, thought it would be. They thought I would have a lot of fun being sent out to the wilderness for 30 days in Alaska. So they sent me on this like thing called NOLS. It's called the National Outdoor
Oh,
Leadership
yeah,
School.
of course.
So I had never heard of it, and the first time I heard of it was I was going to Alaska. So they shipped me off the summer between my junior and senior year, and I just like was in Alaska. I was in we were sea kayaking for 2 weeks out in the wilderness. So we had no phones. The only technology we had was a beak, like this like radio looking beacon thing that was like a 50-50 if it would call a rescue helicopter. But we were sea kayaking for 2 weeks out in the ocean, like in the Prince William Sound of Alaska, and then for another 2 weeks we were up in the mountains in some national park, I think south of Denali. But yeah, I was like, I had no technology for a month, and I was just out there. Like, we carried all our food with us. I saw some bears.
Now, where are you from?
Tennessee.
Of course, I did know that you're from Tennessee, but also Knowles is such a Southern guy thing to do. Such a Southern guy thing. Like, there was another one, not Knowles. There was do you know the other company?
There, I know that there is another. I just don't remember the name.
Like Western
Boy Scouts of America.
No.
Anyway.
Come on.
Are you?
That was part of their reasoning, though,
from-
because my brother was in the Boy Scouts, and he went on some trip for like a week, and they were like, "Oh, we should send you to this for a month," and I was like, "This is horrific."
I would play Xbox.
Yeah,
I'm from the city, so yeah, I don't really deal with many trees and bears. That's not my thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna be like, I don't know what people's perception of Tennessee is, but it's not like some sort of like, I'm not living out here with like axe murders or something. Like,
are you from Chattanooga?
No, I'm from Nashville.
Wait, why didn't I know?
Wait, so it's not all cows in Tennessee?
No, it's not.
You have skyscrapers.
It's a lot. Nashville has a few. It's nothing crazy. We have several.
Oh,
but nothing like I just went to New York. Nothing like that.
Okay.
That's crazy to me. I like going there. I'm just looking up the whole time. Like, this is awesome.
Also, the smell of New York, dude. Nothing better than the smell of the city, dude. It's good.
I just went to the Ryman not too long ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I had some complaints, but I'm also high maintenance apparently. Cool. Okay, so we're running a little bit out of time, so I am going to. We've covered. Ooh, what's your favorite album? This is from Sin City Hermit.
My favorite album? Let me think. There were some good ones. There was like To Pimp a Butterfly was a really good one I liked. I don't know if I have like a favorite. There's To Pimp a Butterfly, and then Love is Rage was a really good one by Uzi. Whatever one EXO Tour Life was, I don't remember if it was 1 or 2, but that one was like, I listened to that like my entire freshman year. That album was phenomenal.
I used to bump that all sophomore year in college. Dude, all my friends are dead, bro. This shit's hot.
That one was just like, not even like the words are like whatever. Like he sings them, I'm like, I can't relate to this that much. But I was like it was like the music itself was like really nice. So I had a lot of good memories too. So I was like, I like that album. Oh, cool. And the last one would be J. Cole's For Your Eyes Only, I think it's called. That was those are the three probably that are my favorite, because those are like probably the only albums that I've sat down and listened like just because of the album. I listened all the way through.
I'm gonna have to listen to some of these.
It's millennial music.
Notes. Oh shoot! I'm like Garth Brooks Double Live isn't your favorite album of all time. I'm old.
Oh, Michael Jackson Thriller, of course. Great album.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
Thank you for something.
Write it down, Penny. Michael Jackson.
All right, last question. I'm sorry for those of you who I didn't get to your questions, but Impressive Emu wants to know about Gamma. The original question is, what the fuck is Gamma and how do I use it? And then he like rephrased it into something nicer, but I think we go with the original.
The thing I've learned is that honestly, like no one can really like decide how important gamma actually is, or like everyone's always like
Okay.
coming up with, I have the best gamma calculation, or I can just show it the best way. Really, all it comes down to is the name gamma. Like gamma is the is like the derivative of delta for an option contract. So it's the your delta's sensitivity to a change in the underlying. So if the stock moves, gamma is going to be how much your delta is going to change based on how much the stock moves. For gamma, like the gamma exposure that we talk about in the futures room sometimes is just, market makers have to delta hedge or gamma, like there's delta hedge, gamma hedge, whatever. But when they do that, there's a certain type of price action you might expect from the the dealer hedging, and when it's a certain amount of exposure, you can expect those forces to be a lot stronger in the market. So it's not something I would say, if you have it, that's the only thing you need to trade. I think it's important to, if you want to know about it, it's good to know. But if you don't know about it, there's like zero need to pay attention to it. Like, if you don't know it, like unless you learn what it is, you're not going to need it. That's kind of, it's like a cool thing to know.
If you're a stock nerd, you love gamma. I read gamma reports every night on trading volatility. Every night.
Yeah. So, a lot of stuff. It's going to be more relevant as derivative, like options activity has increased every year, and it will continue to increase. Like gamma becomes more and more important every year. And
Yep.
we have in MTA, I have posted in the futures room, there is a thread where I have posted a bunch of just everything I read on gamma and like anything you want to read on it. So if you're like, if you're in MTA and you're interested, like definitely go read that. It's cool. But all it is a mix of dealer hedging and just how the options market affects the stock price. That's all it really is. That's like a basic explanation of it.
Very well put.
Very well. So, in closing, Chetan, I know you've already done this, but let's say someone's listening to this podcast and they really want to trade with you, learn from you, ask you a question. How do they get in touch with
Oh,
you?
for sure. You can hit me up on Discord. I'm in MTA. I'm in some other Discords, mainly MTA. Like if you're in MTA, just ping me, DM me. I'm pretty sure my DMs are open, or I'm on Twitter. It's at _block trader _, I think. Yeah.
All right. We'll also link this in the show notes so follow him on Twitter. And I have learned a lot. Also, this was so much fun. I loved, just honestly, my favorite part was listening to you guys talk to each other. And I feel like I could have just gotten out of the way and let you guys talk the whole time, but it's my podcast, so I just say
I know futures are complicated, but no, Chetan, you're a cool dude. You're very well read. You're gonna crush it. I hope some other young guys hear us too, like chatting back and forth, and they aspire to be like us one day. There's so much out there,
sure.
and you can really get lost in it. But no,
I think like I hope the like biggest takeaway, especially for someone listening, is like there's so much you can learn. Like there's so much to learn. There's so much that we don't know. Like there's no reason to just like, at no point should you ever just stop like trying to learn more.
I agree.
I love that. I also think I found so many people struggling recently, and it's just like that's sort of the end of the road for them. But there are so many ways to trade. Like we've talked about crypto, we've talked about options, we talked about large caps, we talked about futures. Like if you're day trading momentum penny stocks, which you guys know is what I do, and you're just hitting your head against the wall day in and day out, it might just be that like that particular style of trading is not for you. But it doesn't mean trading isn't for you. And I love just getting that message out there that you don't have to buy and sell a stock intraday to make money. There's a ton of ways to do it.
There's a ton of ways. Just like you don't always, every day you don't need to trade. There's going to be like market cycles, market environments. Just take a break sometimes. That helps people.
For sure. For sure. I think it's also when you're learning how to do it, it's like drinking from the fire hose too. There's like some mental strain, especially for me. I'm old, right? I don't have your young mind.
We're not that young.
So.
What do you mean we're old, man? We just got kicked off of parents' health insurance. We're getting old.
Oh God. I feel very old right now, but you guys, you're old too. If you guys want to be old, I'll let you be
old.
Yes,
we made it. What a beautifully put. There's so many ways to trade.
I want to thank you guys both for your time. It was just a blast to listen to. And honestly, I could do it again. Like, I feel like we just got the tip of the iceberg of everything you know, Chetan. So I'm going to need to schedule some more time with you.
For sure. I'd be down. This was fun.
Cool. Well, we could schedule that right now because I have more questions. All right. Well, thank you guys. And thank you guys for listening. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you to our producer, Joel Edwards, and Chesley Lowe for the banjo music. Please like, subscribe, and share the Penny Lane Podcast. Thanks.
By accessing this podcast, you acknowledge that the Penny Lane Podcast makes no warranty, guarantee, or representation as to the accuracy or sufficiency of the information featured in this podcast. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. This podcast should not be considered professional or financial advice. Unless specifically stated otherwise, the Penny Lane Podcast does not endorse, approve, recommend, or certify any information, product, process, service, or organization presented or mentioned in this podcast. And information from this podcast should not be referenced in any way to imply such approval or endorsement. The third-party materials or content of any third-party site referenced in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the opinions, standards, or policies of the Penny Lane Podcast. The Penny Lane Podcast assumes no responsibility or liability for the accuracy or completeness of the content contained in third-party materials or on third-party sites referenced in this podcast, or the compliance with applicable laws of such materials and/or links referenced herein.